In today's economy, more people than ever are looking to buy and sell businesses. But how do you do it? Welcome to the Deal Board, presented by Transworld Business Advisors. Straight talk about real deals and real people. Listen to stories, interviews, and expert advice to help your business sale, merger, or acquisition process. Now, here are your business exit experts, Andy and JT.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Deal Board podcast. And oh my God, we have so much to talk about today because there's so many things going on with AI and business brokerage. And artificial intelligence is changing every day, and it's changing how we do deals. And I think it's great. I think there's a lot of good things going on, JT, about AI, but it is changing the landscape so fast, but it's giving a lot of people great tools, right?
It is. It's changing deals. In today's episode, we're going to talk about AI tools that brokers and buyers are already using, how AI might be speeding up that due diligence and financial analysis piece. Will AI change business valuations? We're seeing some of that happen now where people are able to get some pricing or ideas of what their business will sell for very, very quickly. And then there's some risks of relying too heavily on automating some of this stuff. And then there are some industries that are becoming more valuable because of that AI integration. So those are the 5 things we'll dive into today. Let's get started.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the AI tools that people are already using. I mean, obviously people are using Chat and Claude and Copilot, and you can name a couple of other ones. There are some specific chatbots that have been built in the M&A world that we're seeing, but people are creating sims. Buyers and sellers are reviewing contracts. I think it's helping us get the information into a digestible form quicker. And then people who are getting our information are able to summarize the information and understand it quicker.
They're summarizing it. I've seen some buyers that are putting it multiple deals side by side and saying, hey, analyze these deals. Tell me which one is the one I should be pursuing based on my buy box or what it is that I'm looking to accomplish in a business transaction or business acquisition. So, yeah, I think there's a lot that's already in the marketplace, and people are, even if they don't know exactly how they may not have changed their entire process, they're using tools, bits and pieces to automate and maybe make more efficient decisions and be able to bring products to market, or in this case, projects to market quicker for business owners that are looking to engage the help of an advisor. So
yeah, I think it's standardizing the industry somewhat. I think we're going to see more sims be similar, no pun intended. I think we're going to see that this AI, generated financial analyzing and analysis and CRM tools being brought into the sim making process, into the marketing process, is probably going to, bring out more standardization in the industry of what information people are looking for. So it's good.
Right. Yeah, no, I think there is a lot of benefit there. And so as a result of that, AI is actually speeding up diligence and financial analysis too, because it's doing a good job up front and preparing it. And then as a buyer gets that information, they're starting to use those AI tools to be able to analyze the information that they're being given. What are you seeing happening there?
Yeah, what you're seeing is the people being able to look at a business, and it might even be creating more value in the deal. Imagine a deli all of a sudden having like a 60% food cost, or, some outrageous food cost. And all of a sudden the buyer who owns 5 delis says, wow, they're not charging enough for their, plates, or they're buying incorrectly. And I could really get some, economies of scale if I buy this business, or be able to get better deals. And that might actually help the deal sell. And on top of it, you look at things like lease analysis, or, maybe they have some other contracts or recurring, whether it be internet or POS systems, and all of a sudden they could look at the charges of that and they're like, wow, those are really out of line. So I think that is helping up due diligence where, they could be looking at something or vice versa. It's like, hey, for this size company, they don't have enough labor charge.
Right. Right. Well, it's interesting because, we've had a few buyers who have come back and said, I've run all this stuff through AI and these are the problems that I've identified or, the things that I'm concerned about. And one of my questions to them was, did you ask AI to tell you what the things you could do to improve it and how that would increase the value of the business? He goes, no, I never asked that. I said, run it again and then call me back in 2 days and tell me what you came up with. He called me 20 minutes later. He didn't wait 2 days.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you know what? It told me if I did this and did this, I would actually increase my revenues and my profits. And that would make it more worthwhile for me. And I'm like, that's the question you should be asking. Not just looking for the holes, really looking for the opportunities. What can I do to maximize this thing? Because, how many people do you think of, Andy, they buy a business just so they can keep doing what it's been doing? Do you see that?
Nobody does.
No.
Nobody does.
Them,
and
they buy it. What do they want to do?
And our big speech back in the day, we always used to ask the question, do you think there are more bad business owners or more bad businesses?
Right.
And the answer is there's probably more bad business owners. A lot of the businesses that are making money are probably can be optimized. And certainly with baby boomers, they're not running their financials through chat, and this new generation of people coming into business can optimize it and can put things, I saw in the restaurant space, there's a new AI bot that will take your food order for the week and put it up against the food distributors and tell you which ones to order from this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe
think
tell
about
you
what that process used to be like. Yeah. Because you as a restaurant owner, you're taking out all the price lists, trying to figure out who should I shop or comparing one against the other. AI's doing that for you and just saying, no, this is where you're going to get the best deal. That's incredible.
Yeah. And maybe putting in the order for you. And maybe if you see a special, doubling up that order so it puts a little bit in inventory. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff. I saw my buddy using it the other day, and and that's the case in anything, in construction jobs where they're ordering their raw materials or they're coming up with route. They have new things for, like, if you have a route, whether it be a vending route or whether you be a delivery route or you have a pool route or a landscaping route, to optimize your routes so you're way more productive. There's so many great things during financial analysis and due diligence.
That's good. And so AI tools can be used by brokers, and they're already using some of them. We see that it is speeding up the due diligence and the financial analysis. That leads to the thing that most people are always asking, like, what's my business worth? And we're seeing more and more of these two tools now come in. What do you think's happening in AI changing the business valuation landscape?
Well, I think what it's doing is it'll eventually narrow the kind of spread, the standard deviation of businesses, where it'll be pretty close to what a business will sell for, pretty close to what it's valued for. And I think what's happening is that business valuation is becoming more prominent out there. The information is more available. There's public information through SBA loans, through peer comps, through deal stats, and people will be using that to better value their businesses. Now, will there be individual things like location or certain deals that people have? Oh, sure. But what it does is it basically makes it more certain what a business is worth. And I think that's great. The banks will be more ready. They'll be ready to lend at a certain level. The buyers will be understand what their down payments will be, and the sellers will understand the marketplace better. So I think what it's doing is it's bringing it into focus. I don't think there'll be as many outliers. Businesses won't sell for too cheap. Businesses won't sell for too much.
That's good. Well, and that data becomes more and more available, more public, then AI has more good content to be or data to be able to pull from. In the beginning, I can remember even just a year or two ago, some online calculators, and then you'd get the result back and go, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I think now that more and more data is becoming available publicly, that people and the AI tools can go out and scrape it, find it, et cetera, source it, and be able to give a much better result. But I also think because the businesses are effectively using AI inside of their own operations, that improves efficiency, reduces labor costs, or scales operations. That means that the business itself will have a stronger valuation because it performs better. So using it to help make the business better obviously then results in a better value for the seller and a better opportunity for the buyer coming in.
Yeah.
Wow. It's crazy how quickly it's like we heard it was coming and now it's here, and you see more and more opportunities for us to be able to leverage it to help sellers get the best value for their business and prepare buyers to get the best opportunity when they do an acquisition. So
yeah,
good. That's the first 3 of our 5. That means it's money time, Andy.
It's time for Deal of the Week. So let's check that out. We'll be right back.
Need help buying or selling a business? Transworld has over 1,000 brokers in 250 offices worldwide. Visit tworld.com or call 800-205-7605.
Hey, Andy, do you know what time it is?
What time?
It's time for Deal of the Week.
Ring the bell.
Hi, JT. Thanks for having me on the Deal Board podcast to talk about my most recent listing. This listing was a manufacturer of orthotics for dogs. This business primarily sold its products online and had a top-line revenue of $500,000 with $150,000 in SDE. This business sold in 60 days from listing to close date in the amount of $350,000 with $50,000 down and $300,000 financed over 5 years. This was another great deal for great people.
I love that sold, ding, 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 sold thing at the Deal of the Week. That's just absolutely incredible. And how many times around the nation, around the world, in over 20 countries, Transworld people are ringing that bell every single week because more and more Transworld deals are getting sold. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. So here we are. We're talking about AI and we're talking about how it's really helped, but there are some risks, right? So there are risks of relying too heavily on AI in deals.
So it can make you faster, it can make you more efficient, but it creates some risks too, especially if you get too heavily dependent on it. Automating analysis without giving, you got to have a human element. I think that's really what it comes down to, right? The machine can do all kinds of great stuff, but if you don't have somebody checking what's coming out of it and then verifying before making those decisions, I think you got to be careful that you don't run all the way through and just take your hands off. You know, you ever read the book E-Myth Revisited, Andy? Remember that old book by Michael Gerber? Yeah. And one of the things he talks about for Sarah and All About Pies is she hires a person who's running her numbers and she abdicates responsibility to the guy completely. Yeah. Like she takes her hands off. She doesn't check progress. She doesn't evaluate, measure KPIs. And then all of a sudden she realizes, she looks up one day and goes, oh my gosh, these things they're a complete mess. AI could do that to your business if you're not careful and you don't have some people helping put what AI is giving you into play the right way.
Yeah. And there are some concerns about confidentiality as well. So we're trying to tell our buyers, the advisors that are in the deals, whether it be accountants, attorneys, that they can't just go to the free chat GPT and dump all this confidential information in there. So they have to take steps to make sure that they have a chat, they're actually paying for chat. They're using perhaps a project inside of chat to make sure that there are confidentiality kind of safeguards inside the deal. So people need to make sure that they're being careful about that as well.
Yeah. And I would even go back earlier to the sellers. One of the previous episodes, we talked about that due diligence list, or the documentation needed list that the advisor is normally going to get to a seller and say, I'm going to need this stuff. Look, when you're sending information over, redact all that personal information. You don't want that stuff. It's flying around it's stored in a data room, not even flying around. Then as someone goes in and has access to that data room, they pull it down, they dump it in the chat GPT. I got privacy concerns now, right? Cybersecurity concerns, personal data that's being put into a public forum. You don't want to do that. And as a buyer, remember, you signed a confidentiality agreement that says that you're going to be the one that's taking a look at this and you're not sharing it, you're certainly not going to share it in a public forum like a free version of ChatGPT, for example.
Yeah. And so I think, all chat and Claude and all this stuff is helping people do deals faster. I think it's also helping deals become more valuable, right? I think that some industries are going to benefit from AI, and maybe even some industries that you wouldn't think would benefit from AI are going to be more valuable. I talked about to a gentleman who is in the insurance business, and a lot of people think, oh, well, something like an insurance business is going to go away because everything's going to be AI and you're talking to chatbots. And I'm like, there's a whole bunch of people out there in the world that don't want to talk to a chat box. Maybe that's an opportunity for someone to have an insurance agency that says, guess what? You're going to talk to a live human being.
Humans.
We're going to take care of all your insurance needs. And when your grandma calls or your mom calls or dad calls, we're going to make sure that we take good care of them. So I think there's a lot of businesses that are becoming more attractive, obviously, because of AI. Maybe you could scale quicker, like HVAC and the businesses that aren't historically, you can't get an AI bot to fix your air conditioner.
No, you can't get an AI bot to necessarily sell your business either. You probably want somebody involved in that, negotiating with the landlord, making the phone calls, following up with the lenders. There's a lot of moving parts that still require human relationships, especially when it comes to the deal-making side. That takes us to number 5, which are industries that are becoming more valuable because of AI intelligence. Yeah. What are some things that we're seeing in the Transworld family of businesses that are scaling up or becoming better because they've put AI in play?
Yeah, I think, that example that I used of air conditioning, right? You're thinking about running an air conditioning company. You're thinking about having to put, routes out there, basically having to buy more, having to buy supplies and all those things that if you put AI into those businesses, say you had, 3 people that were doing billing and say you had 3 people doing sales and you could really streamline that somehow. I think people are buying businesses that are quote unquote outside the AI, but using AI tools to make them more valuable.
That's a great point. I mean, I think they become more attractive because they use them effectively, but they operate in industries that might have positioned themselves to benefit from automation and technology, but not become totally dependent on it. You keep that personal and that human element inside of it. So good. Five different things, 5 different AI and business brokerage. How does artificial intelligence, how is it changing our deals? How is it influencing our deals? So those are the 5 hits for this week. And that brings us to the last part, Andy, and that is we've already heard the deal of the week. So that means it's time for
listing of the week. We got listing of the week. Perhaps a deal that you could look at and improve it with AI.
That's right.
So we'll be right back.
Hey, JT, do you know what time it is? Money time? Almost. It's time for listing of the week.
Hey, everybody. Mike Shea, Transworld Business Advisors of Tampa. I want to talk about new listing of the week. This is a medical practice in Lakeland, Florida. What makes it unique is it's not run by a doctor. It's owned by a nurse practitioner. So you nurse practitioners or young residents who are tired of the corporate healthcare world in the hospitals, here's an opportunity to make some money. The owner's making around $70,000. She's only working part-time. 50% of the revenue is coming from cash payments, and the balance is coming from really well-paying insurance. Give me a call at 321-287-0349.
Okay, another great listing of the week and another great episode where we talked about AI and business brokerage, how it's improving our deals, how they're making it more valuable, how it's speeding up the process. A lot of things going on with AI out in the world. Got to be careful out there. There's plenty of opportunities. It's an exciting time in our industry. We'll be back with you next time. Thanks, JT, for joining us today.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks for tuning in to the show today. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends on social media. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcasting app. If you have questions, would like to appear, or have suggestions for topics for the show, get in contact with us through our website, thedealboardpodcast.com.